Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and welcome to the 2024 Raceland Football Legends Hall of Fame induction ceremony. In the movies, Tony Stark created the greatest group of superheroes by uttering the words, "Avengers Assemble." On stage with me are members of the greatest group of football legends that have ever been assembled at Raceland. And tonight, we add 5 new members to this elite group of football superheroes. At this time, please rise. Gentlemen, remove your caps for our opening prayer. Our most gracious and loving Heavenly Father, God, we thank you so much for this day. God, we thank you so much for the game of football. And we thank you for the men that are on this team and on this stage that have forged the great tradition here at Raceland by playing the game of football that we all love so much. God, as we go into battle tonight, we pray that you'll watch over the team, the coaches, the cheerleaders, and all the fans. Keep them safe tonight and give our opponents travel mercies as they go home. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you. The Britannica Dictionary defines a legend as a famous or important person who is known for doing something extremely well. Tonight, the 5 gentlemen that I share the stage with are truly that, Raceland football legends. From the class of 1971, number 33, Clyde Adams. Clyde was a 2-year Raceland MVP, all-conference for 2 years, and was honorable mention all-state. Inducting Clyde this evening is Coach Mike Hosaffel.
My goodness, I've never been a leadoff man before, but I guess there's always a first. Well, first of all, I want to compliment everybody here for this facility that you have out here. I mean, it is absolutely unbelievable. Now, right now, I live in the Cincinnati area, and I've seen a lot of big high schools, and they've got some great facilities, but I'm telling you the truth, well, none of them beats this one. And you ought to be proud of it. And furthermore, in addition to that, the atmosphere that you set here on these Friday nights is something else too. And I enjoy when we get down there, my wife Sandy and I, as many times as we can for these games. Now, Bobby Adams, in just a few minutes, just stay right there now. A little bit, I hope to make this quick, is to say how Bobby and I got together. When I got out of college, I had a shot, a tryout with the Ottawa Rough Riders of the Canadian Football League. And well, it didn't turn out very well. So I got cut and headed home. Got home on a Thursday, about the 1st of August, sitting in a chair, opened the paper, and I see Raceland High School has a head football coach opening. Well, what the heck? I may as well apply for it or see what it is. So next morning, Friday, I called over here and talked to Eunice Harper. She said, well, can you come over? And I said, well, my calendar's clear. I think I can make it. So I come over and talked to her for a while, and she said, well, she took my phone number and said, I'll get back to you here a little bit later. Well, that's afternoon, she got back to me and said, could you come over and talk to the school board tonight? I said, yeah, I can do that. So I come over and meet with the school board for about 10 minutes. They asked me to step out for a minute, come back in, says, job's yours. Well, I was 22 years old, never coached a day in my life, had to ask directions how to get over to Raceland, and now I'm their head coach 3 weeks before the season starts. Actually 2, because it was a grid-a-rama. Now, I also asked him, did I have an assistant? And they said yes, and gave me his telephone number. We got together on the Saturday, tried to get a hold of as many kids as what we could to come out, tell them we're going to start practice Monday. So we come out, we start getting there on Monday and pass out the equipment, take them out for a light workout on the field, and my assistant, Larry Maddox, and we're watching them, they're just running around, just wanting to see what they look like. And it was this one boy that was a little taller than all the rest and moving pretty good and running well. And I said, who's that kid there? He said, that's Bobby Adams. I said, well, what's he play? He said, he's an end. I said, he ain't anymore. Because I didn't know, we hadn't had an offense yet, didn't have a defense. So I knew one thing I was going to do. Bobby was going to get the ball a lot. And Bobby did get it a lot. And I'm telling you, he was a terror around here for a while. I mean, he's a big boy. He was bigger than what he is right now. And our two favorite plays was Bobby off tackle right and Bobby off tackle left. And I think if I'm not mistaken, I think the first game, I can remember we played Morgan County. I think he scored 5 touchdowns. The next one, I think he scored 4. These might be a little inflated, but like I told Bobby, we're making this story up, so we're going to make it a good one. But that was very, very close to it. And I know by mid-season, after about our 4th or 5th game, I do know this for a fact, he was leading the state in scoring. And after that, the schedule got a little bit tougher, plus the opponents they all knew who Bobby Adams was, and he was getting an awful lot of attention. So the things kind of settled down. But now, when you talk about, we'll talk about the stats. I know he had a lot of yards. I asked him how many. He said he really wasn't sure. I said, well, let's make it a good one anyhow, whatever we're going to say. But he made, the things settled down, but the thing about Bobby, the stats, it's kind of funny in football. You see a lot of people, you see a lot of stats, and they look good, but that's really not really what makes a football player. It's just that it's the toughness and the grit and going at it every day and getting up when you're knocked down, and the other things just kind of come easy, and that was Bobby. So I think the best thing that I can say about him is that he was a football player. I'm not going to say he's a tailback, he's an end, or whatever he was. Bobby was a football player. And I guess I'm proud to welcome aboard now as a member of the Hall of Fame, Bobby Adams. Come on. Run. Come on. Yeah. Okay. Good job.
Thank you. I just want to thank everyone, especially Coach Hoseifel. He remembers it different than me. I think he thinks that's better than what it was, okay? Anyway, there's 3 things actually my wife Vic and I are actually proud of. The first is her family, starting from her grandmother, her mother, her and her sister, all retired from Raceland school system. The second for me, at this moment, is the fact that I go in there with my stepson, Brian McLeod, and my father, Clyde Adams. He was in the first class of the Hall of Fame. I thank you.
From the class of 1978, number 60, Ronnie Compton. Ronnie was all NEKC in 1976 and 77, as well as being named team captain, best defensive lineman, and Mr. Football his senior year. He also won the Leadership Award in 1977. The Rams were NEKC and district champions in 1977 as well. Inducting Ronnie this evening is Chris Valvo.
Good evening. Well, Ronnie comes from a very large family. You may have heard of them. They're called the Comptons. He's one of 44 cousins. And we used to play in the playoffs against Bellevue every year. And there was a kid named Sutcamp. I'm sure some of you probably remember Sutcamps. And we used to think, oh, we have to play against those Sutcamps again. And I just knew they probably thought the same thing about Raceland. It's like, oh, not another one of those Comptons. They're hard-headed. They get out there and they bash your brains in. But we had a lot of people from our family that played, and Ronnie exemplified what it takes to be a football player at Raceland. He was hard-nosed. He was probably 185 pounds, soaking wet, but he would hit you as hard as he can, and he was always positive. He was a great football player, but he's also a great husband to his wife, Jolene, and he's a great father to his two kids, Brandon and Jordan. And he's a tremendous father or grandfather to his grandchildren. He has 3 grandchildren. So it's my pleasure to announce the next Ram legend, Ronnie Compton.
I'm not a speaker, that's why I invited Chris. I sure appreciate everything, and I love playing football for Raceland. Thank you.
From the class of 1980, number 37, Danny Bostic. Danny was all NEKC, all area, and honorable mention all-state in his career at Raceland. Inducting Kenny this evening is Coach Odell Pack.
I'd like to add one thing to Ronnie that I don't know, Chris may not have known this, but when Ronnie played, we had 5 senior linemen, and they were all Beta Club members. And that's not a very good, not an easy task for especially linemen, but it leads into Kenny too, because one of those guys got hurt, and Kenny was a sophomore, and Kenny had to end up playing with us. He had to take the spot of the hurt player, and he was only a sophomore. But, you know, Bill reads off these statistics for these players, and, you know, there's probably not a player on the stage who cares anything about those statistics. And I know Kenny doesn't. All Kenny ever worried about was playing hard, being a leader on the field, and winning. He wanted to win as bad as anybody I've ever been around. When he first came here, his first position to play for us was a tackle. And after that, we moved into the backfield. He was a fullback. And we ran a lot of power stuff then. And Kenny had some speed. He probably would have been a leading rusher in the area. But he was challenged speed-wise. But, you know, him and his brother, in my time here, are the only 2 brothers elected into this Hall of Fame. But Matt could fly. If Kenny had had Matt's speed, it's hard to tell what Kenny would have done. But, you know, a lot of coaches here, you see these old guys here, and a lot of people, and if you ask them, what makes a good football player? Well, you know, there's 2 or 3 things that everybody would mention. Does he play hard? Would he work hard? Does he want to win? And does he have a heart and a mind for football? And every one of those things describes Kenny Bostic. I've never coached a guy that was any more in tune with football than Kenny was. He was amazing. He wanted to do everything at the best, full speed and at the best of his ability. He did the same thing in his life too. Once he graduated, he ended up, well, to be honest with you, he married above his pay grade. In my opinion, he married above his pay grade. Tina was a wonderful girl, and we loved her. And then he went into the military, spent his time in the military, and then once he got out of the military, went into working for the social services. So everything he does at full speed. He is the epitome of what an old coach like me looks for in a football player. Coach Vanderhof and I, Coach Vanderhof was Kenny's teammate. Coach Vanderhof and I, excuse me, have talked many times about how intense Kenny played. Kenny like to tell everybody, just before we hit the field, let's leave them in a bloody heap, boys. And he meant it. He was ready to go. And so it's my honor to introduce Kenny Bostic. You want me to hold that for you, man?
It's been an absolute honor going to school here. Even a bigger honor by getting nominated for this. And it got to a point I didn't think I'd ever get it. My wife read on Facebook, they're inducting this person, that person, and this person. Good luck maybe next year. Well, this went on for several years, and we're out on the river fishing, and my phone rings. And I answered. He said, "This is Don Rambo calling from the Raceland Rams legend." I couldn't breathe. And then he said, "You got match number? We're putting him in, my baby brother." So I said, "Yeah, let me call him, make sure he answers the phone, or he won't do it, you won't get him." So I called him, said, "Answer the phone when it rings." And he spoke with Don. He called me back and said, "Huh?" I said, "Huh, what?" He said, "They're putting me in the Hall of Fame." He was, without a doubt, the best athlete of me or Danny, either one. He was a little undersized, maybe not as physical, but he absolutely deserved it. And the only thing that could make this any better for me tonight were if he were here. I want to thank everybody that had any part in this, Touchdown Club, the Legends Board. They just got a great thing going. And for you young guys, if you get a player that's giving you a fit, like the running back from Ashland last week, keep hitting him. They don't like that. You're not going to win them all. You're young, you're going to make mistakes. But when you're doing that, knock their socks off. No cheap shots, but let them know that you're here to play some football. You keep hitting them, and I promise they quit coming your way. But you got to stay at it. Thank you all very much.
From the class of 1996, number 32, Shawn Heighton. Shawn was a two-time district champion in 92 and in 95. Honorable mention All-Area in 93 and 94, All-Area in 95, and 94 and 95, all in EKC selection. Inducting Shawn this evening is Coach Dan Mercer.
I was afraid to sit up here on the stage looking down that back row is Murderer's Row. I had the good fortune of playing against those guys back in the 60s, and Coach Holzapfel and I went head-to-head a few times when he was at Ashland, and it's always an honor and a privilege to speak here at Raceland and to acknowledge some of the things that some of the fellows have done in the past. And what a place this is. Raceland School is amazing. It's just amazing. And I have so many fond memories of Raceland School. You know, this evening I'm here helping induct, I guess, one of my former players and students, but he has become one of the best friends I've got in my life. If I was hanging over a cliff on a rope, I would want him to be up there, because if I fell on off, I know that he would go with me. That's the kind of man he is. I know that his wife, Desiree, is here and pleased, and the boys, what a family it is. Mr. and Miss Heighton, you've raised 3 dandies. And Sheldon and Chris, I would only assume you and your families are here. What a family this Heighton family is. Special, very special. I won't keep you long, but let me say something to this group of young men right over here to my right. You know, we kind of took it on the chin the other night, and it was kind of a hard one. I've got a grandson who coaches here and a grandson who coaches at Ashland. But boys, I tell you what, he's the one at Ashland's not here, so I can say it publicly. I am orange. I'll be real honest with you. And that hurt last week. But gentlemen, it's not how hard you fall, it's how you get up. And you got to keep plugging. You got to do everything you can. Every play, you got to play. Every time you go out there, you got to give it the best you got. You got to dream at night how you're going to block that guy or how you're going to tackle that guy. You got to watch these film. And this group of coaches that you have, man, I tell you, they are second to none. Special, special men. I know them well. I had most of them in school. And this brings me to this. I can't stand up and tell you how many touchdowns Shawn scored or how many big hits that he made while he was playing here. But I can tell you one thing. I can never think of a time that he ever missed a practice or made an excuse for anything at all. He was the same guy every daggone day of the week, and especially on Friday night. And I'm just so honored to be just a small part of his induction into this fine group of men. Shawn Heighton. Who wears number 32 out here? Anybody? Nobody wants your number.
They retired that number.
Congratulations, buddy.
Thanks, Coach.
I love you. Love you.
Thanks, appreciate that. My wife asked me all week if I wrote something down, and I lied to her and said I didn't. I was going to make her look like an idiot when I got here. But Coach Mercer, thank you very much for the kind words. For you all that don't know him, he was a principal here when I went to school, and he coached. We only had about 4 or 5 coaches. They didn't have. How many got now, Coach? About 16. Yeah, we only had about 4. So, and he was one of the guys that coached on that team, and I appreciate everything you ever done for my family. I love you, and. If you ever need anything, don't you hesitate to call me. I don't know who votes on this, Hall of Fame committee or board. I don't have any idea. I think that they sent the letter to the wrong house or got the wrong phone number probably. But I got a phone call from Kenny McDowell. And, of course, my heart kind of leapt a bit, and it made my heart full. So to the Hall of Fame committee, I appreciate this, and thank you guys for having me. I've got a bunch of family here tonight. My wife, both my boys, mom and dad's here. I see one of my brothers over there. I don't know if the other one's here or not. He might be hiding somewhere. He's not much on public crowds, I think. But thank you, everybody, for coming. I'm going to try to get this right. Me and my brother all graduated from here. 3 nieces that's already graduated from here. If I'm wrong, tell me, Desiree. 3 other nieces that still go here. A nephew that goes here. A great niece that goes here. And a great nephew that goes here still. So the orange and black's kind of in the Heighton family DNA. So hopefully that continues for a long, long time. I was fortunate enough to have 2 boys that went to school here. And me and my wife had a deal. She is a national champion cheerleader from Greenup County. So we had a deal that if we had girls, they were going to Greenup, and if we had boys, they were going to Raceland. I think that's only fair, right? Well, she lost. And the rest is history. I had 2 boys that got to play here, and it got to come full circle, and it was one of the best times of my life watching them play, and they were very successful, and I do believe that someday they'll be standing right up here with the rest of us. So, to the current staff and players, coaches, what's a game? 48 minutes now? Is it 48 minutes? I've done a little math, and I think that you guys probably spend about 20 to 25 hours a week prepping for a 48-minute game. That's just off the top of my head. And I've been over the Touchdown Club for the last 7 or 8 years now, and I didn't realize the time that they put in, the players included, and the time they spend away from their families, and they just lay over there, especially with a new field house. Coach Fannin ain't been home since. He's been over asleep on the couch. But they put about probably 20 to 25 hours a week in over there just to get ready for one game, and they start all over again on Sunday. So to you guys, thank you for everything you do for our team and our program. It was a joy to play here and an honor to wear the orange and black. Thank you all.
Shawn. From the class of 2001, number 31, Daniel Vanderhof. Daniel was a 1998 district champion, a 1999 first team All-Area, and a 2000 first team All-Area EKC selection. Inducting Daniel this evening is Coach Randy Vanderhof.
I tell you what an exciting day it is to celebrate Raceland football. Me and Coach Salmons was talking the other day. This is the 99th season of Raceland football. We started in 1926, and Coach Mercer, I believe the first victory is against McHale. Sorry about that. But anyway, what a time it is. And the thing about you guys is playing now, our coaching staff and our players, and these guys here and ones here, they understand that this program is built on the shoulders of people like this. And the one thing that they want is you guys go out and play hard tonight and most definitely win, but win one in December. That's what everybody's looking for here, and everybody's pulling for you. So tonight, when you pull that jersey on, you're just not pulling that jersey on tonight for yourself and for your teammates. You're pulling that jersey on for everybody that's ever played here, anybody that's ever went to school here, and you see Lawn Chair Nation out there every Friday night. The Rams are with us everywhere. The Raceland Worthington community loves this football program. So when you get tired out there tonight, as Coach Osaf was saying earlier, you get knocked down, you get back up, and as Kenny Bostic said, you go knock your socks off on the next play. And as Coach Salmons always tells us, you just keep pounding, keep pounding. What an exciting day it is. Coach Osaf was here, and my brother, Greg, him and Terry was in the 7th grade, and the numbers weren't really good. So they went down, and they got some of them 7th graders to come up. I think Randy Heberlin and some of them guys was on the team. And I know one thing, Coach. I used not to like you because Greg came home and taught me what a Lombardi was. I'll tell you that. But he loved playing for you. I'll tell you that, Coach. But what an exciting time this is. And Daniel, the thing about Daniel is, one word to describe him would be tough. He grew up with football, was growing up down the racetrack. Greg was about 4 or 5 years older than me, and we'd get out in the backyard and you had to play one-on-one football. That's just the way it was. You get the snot knocked out of you, you got back up, and that's the way it was. And he carried on that tradition with his boys up at Rice Avenue. And you go up there and it would be a bloodbath with Daniel and Chad, and sometimes Greg had to tell Daniel, take it easy on pork, just take it easy on him. But it was always football, 365 days a year and then some. And I know Nancy really loved us for that, but that's the way it was all the time. And as tough as Daniel, talking about tough, I don't know if it's Coach Stanley or Coach Pack, they coined the phrase here, ram tough. And that was a special kind of tough. I think maybe Dodge stole that, coaches, but I think Coach Stanley might be getting some money off of that now. But ram tough is a special kind of tough. And that's what Daniel was. Daniel was a special kind of tough. Give you a few examples about Daniel. We're playing up at Putnam Stadium. If you've ever been in Putnam Stadium on a Friday night, it's hot, and it was a packed house that night. It was 99. We were down 12-8. We fooled around and made a stop. Our kids got the ball, and what an incredible drive. With about 6 minutes to go in the game, coaches found something, got a little unbalanced line, and Ashland never could adjust to it. I think we only threw one pass on that drive. Daniel told me the other day he thought it was 22-88. Imagine that, Coach Ross. But that was the only pass that we threw on the drive. So we took the lead 14-12. And there was a little bit of time left on the clock. There's about a minute to go in the game. And Coach Pack at that time was on the crow's nest, and my brother Greg. And the coaches on the sideline said, Coach Pack he said, whatever you do, Vanderhof, give the ball to Daniel, whatever you do. Our offensive line knew, and they knew that Daniel would get us 3 yards. And if you've ever played, sometimes those are the 3 toughest yards that you can get for an extra point. Well, they called the play, and Daniel rammed that thing in there to seal the victory for us at 16-12. They just knew he was going to get us 3 yards. We used to have a saying around here, BYOB, be your own blocker, and that's just the way Daniel was. Another toughness deal with him and Coach Salmons were in the backfield together. I know some of it's hard to believe, but down there at Carlisle, Nicholas County used to have some really good football teams. Michael's a senior, and we're playing down there at Carlisle in a game, and we went to the coaches prior to that and said, this wishbone thing is good, but we got 2 big backs, and we need to try to get those guys the ball a little bit more and try to set some things up. And back in that day, you'd run a play to set up a play. But we got a little drive going, and we call a play, and Michael moves over, and Coach Salmons now, Michael moves over, and he's going to run the ball. Well, we call a play again, and Michael moves over to the other side to get the ball. Keeps getting the ball, and I said, timeout. Probably said some other things, Coach, but called timeout, said, what's going on out here? Well, we get out there in the huddle, and I went straight to Daniel. What's going on? Michael, they're the 2 backs. Daniel's not saying anything. I see some blood pouring, this, that, and the other. His front teeth's knocked out. And I said, can you play? And he shook his head, yes. I said, I can't carry it, but he's got something I can block. So he blocked for Coach. We ended up getting a touchdown in there and getting the game in hand. Well, during the game, right after that, came over, never did this, but Greg and Nancy's up in the stands. Motion for Greg to come down, and Greg said, he's all right, he can play. Nancy's still not happy about for this day. She said he used to have the prettiest teeth because his front teeth was knocked out. But that's the kind of tough he was. That's not the only occasion about his toughness. The next year, Nicholas County comes up here. They're 8-0, undefeated, ranked 3rd or 4th in the state. Big district game, big game. And I get a call on Thursday night, and Greg said, Daniel's not feeling very well. I said, what do you mean he's not feeling very well? He said, he's running a fever about 102, 103. I don't know. Coach Mercer's assistant principal, and next morning Mercer said, well, you know what the rule is, the state rule, he's got to get to school. So he came to school here after lunch, and Mercer said he'd be able to play. So we go out and play Nicholas County that night out here in the game, and they got signs up over there, like Kill, Vandertooth, and all this kind of stuff. Well, Daniel, that night, his temperature's down to about 102. Well, he goes out that night behind that offensive line, like Coach, I can't remember the stats, but about 15 carries, about 200 yards later, and the Rams get a big win that night. That's the kind of toughness he had. Another is on Daniel about his toughness. We're getting ready to play Paris Greyhounds, and Randy Reese is the head football coach down there at Paris, and Randy had won a couple state championships at Paris and won one at Ludlow. Sorry about that, Terry. But Ludlow was pretty good back in the day. They were state champs in '75. So Randy Reese, they called him back to Paris to coach the team, and we knew he was going to have a tough game that night. And Thursday night, got a call from Greg. we've had an accident. I'm thinking, what is going on? An accident? Well, I didn't know. Nancy, Brandy, Chad, what's going on? Said Daniel's been up here playing with a knife, and he's cut his arm. I had to take him up here to the hospital, and got back, had a bunch of stitches in his arm, and he said, oh, he'll be able to play, no problem. So we're out there playing the Greyhounds, and we're playing them, and noticed the official, as the blood rule was into effect, which is a good rule, and all that's going on out there, and official kind of looks over. Next thing you know, Daniel reaches down there, and I've come to find out Daniel just reached down. He busted open his stitches, reached down, grabbed a bunch of dirt and put it on there. And the official said, that's good. And he said, that's good. You can just keep right on playing. No problem. Just keep right on rolling. No big deal. That's kind of toughness Daniel had. That's kind of toughness he still has today. Daniel, proud of him as a football player, tremendous football player, tremendous size, speed, power. And he just brought it to you, and probably one of his best games. We had the misfortune of playing Beechwood in the state playoffs at Beechwood one night, and Coach Yeagle, who just passed away this past summer, Coach Yeagle came up to me before the game. And he said, now Vanderhof, now he's a throwback to those old school type running backs that you see in northern Kentucky, with just power, going to hit the hole as fast as he can. And we didn't win that night, but I think Daniel, Coach, had about 150 yards that night against Beechwood. Just tough. Bigger the game, tougher the competition. That's just the way he was. And he loved football. But all that aside, and that's really good, but thing about Daniel, he's tough like that in life. He works down here for Expro, and Brad McGinnis told me one time, he said, if I got a job, it's got to be done, I call Daniel. And the new company, the people down there running it now, they call Daniel. He's been all over this country, California, Texas, anywhere on the East Coast. Makes no difference what the weather is, he's going to go. Another thing about Daniel's tough too. Sometimes it's tough being a good dad. Daniel's a good dad. He's a good dad to his kids, good dad to his stepkids, and that's what I'm most proud about. And that's tough to do that every day, to get up and do it every single day. When he's home, he's a good family man. And him and my brother were out fishing yesterday, catching muskie and taking pictures of copperheads. I mean, that's just the way it is. One of these days, guys, you're going to have to get up, you're going to have to go to work. Daniel gets up and goes to work every day to provide for his family. And I hope you have that kind of toughness, not only on the football field, but in that kind of in life. Ram tough, Daniel Vanderhof.
It's hard to say anything after hearing all that. But I would like to say thanks so much. First, let me tell you, it's an honor to be standing up here with all these legends at Raceland football. To be considered for the Hall of Fame is truly humbling in itself. And to be inducted into the Hall of Fame is just speechless. First, I'd like to thank my family, friends, for being here with me today. Secondly, I'd like to thank Coach Vanderhof for the introduction and a reminder to us all why we call you Coach. If it wasn't for your tough and fair coaching, I wouldn't be standing here today. I remember not only the coaching to make us better on the field, but it stood out most with life lessons that you would teach us to make us better men later on in life. Thirdly, I'd like to thank the late Coach Ross. I remember on those hot summer days when I was younger, he would take time out of his day for the Raceland football summer school, where he would teach us the basics, fundamentals, and techniques to not only be good, but to become great. Lastly, I would like to thank my mom and dad. Without your support and encouragement during my youth, I wouldn't have never pushed myself to do better. Dad, if it wasn't for you and your support coaching JFL, If it wasn't for your support and coaching during the JFL, I would have never learned the position to be the best, do the best for my potential. Thank you for always being a great example for me. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the 2024 Raceland Football Legends Hall of Fame induction ceremony. There will be refreshments served in the Commons area. We'd like to thank everyone for coming, and let's give our legends another big Rams round of applause. We will see you in a short time at historic Rams Stadium for the greatest show on turf as the Rams take on the Letcher County Central Cougars. Enjoy your evening, and God bless.
Go Rams!